John, welcome. Our theme for the conference is how to build speed, productivity and agility in our organisations. So from a cultural point of view, thinking about how we develop culture, what are some of the challenges that you see organisations typically face in moving towards a culture that's designed for speed and agility?
Well, from my work with companies and the research that I've done, I would say there are always three reasons that people don't change, don't make that move towards being more agile and faster. So the first is that they don't understand the change, or they resist the change. You haven't, in other words, as an organization or as a leader, you haven't persuaded them of the sense of urgency, or you've persuaded them in general of the sense of urgency, but what we find often is that we need to change doesn't necessarily mean I need to change, right? So you haven't got down to that level where people understand this is something that I really have to do differently. That's number one. Number two is they buy into the change. They understand we have to be more agile, I have to be more agile, I have to do things faster. Yes, but they don't know what to do. What does it mean? What does it mean for me to be more agile? What do you mean I should be faster? What does that look like, right? They don't see the path. And then the third is they believe in it, they see the path, but still they can't change, right? And you can think about it, let's take a mundane example, but you can believe the need to lose weight. You can understand specifically the behaviors you need to do, but you still may find it hard to break that habit because there may be some immunity to change. There may be reasons that you are unwilling to give up certain behaviors that would lead actually to that agility and speed.
So let's talk about some of the practical tools and techniques that are available to us in our organisations to help leaders address those three challenges that you've set out.
Yeah, well, so if you take each one by one, right? So the first thing I guess you see is there's a difference between talk-based change and behavior-based change. If we're talking about how can we get people to have a sense of urgency in general or to understand the urgency specifically for them to change, that's about the talk-based change. That's about making the case. What is the threat that's coming, or what is the opportunity we can seize if only we can be more agile, if only we can be faster. That's important, but I would say too many organizations focus only on that, and the problem is that just getting people aware of the need for change is so hard that when you finish doing that, you can feel a great sense of satisfaction. But in fact, you've so far changed nothing, right? So you have the talk-based change, but then you have the behavior-based change. And in behavior-based change, we talk about three different elements. We talk about the need to be consistent, insistent, and persistent. So let's take that middle case, the case of somebody who is believing in the change but not understanding exactly what they need to do. Well, then what you've got to do is somehow translate at every level of the organization. What does agility and speed mean for us, right? And this is one of those things that can't be done by the head of HR or by the CEO. This is something that needs to be led by them, but needs to be done at every level by every leader with their teams, because only you as the leader of your team know what does it mean, agility, in our particular accounting department in the middle of this large organization, for example, right? One of the things that's important is that translation into what are the behaviors I need you to do are often better communicated through behaviors than just through words. And that's where being a role model as a leader comes in. Show symbolically, this is what this means. This is what fast means, let me show you, right? And the one thing to keep in mind, and this is why consistency is so important, when you talk about something, in fact, any culture change, but let's take agility and speed in particular, you say you're going to do this and people are immediately looking for you to be a hypocrite. They're immediately looking for gaps. You say, let's be fast, and then they're immediately noticing the areas where you're slow, right? Why? It's human nature, but the reason why is that it gets us off the hook. If I can satisfy myself that you don't really mean it, that you're not living up to it, then I don't have to live up to it either, right? Mm-hmm. So that's that middle case. And then you have the third case, right? You have the case where the person understands what to do, but isn't doing it for some reason. And with agility and speed, we see this a lot. Everybody wants to be faster, but the problem is they also maybe want to keep control. So I want to be faster, but I still want you consulting me. I want there to be less consensus of decision-making in the organization because I know that slows us down, but I still want my opinion to count, right? And so the third thing is to identify what are those behaviors which are serving some need right now. They're keeping us a feeling of control. They're protecting us from failure that we know is necessary if we're truly going to be agile, etc. Identifying not just the behaviors we need people to do, but actually the behaviors we need people to stop doing.
So it's doing new things and letting go of the old behaviors as well.
Yeah, that sounds simple, but as you can imagine, that's really, really difficult.
John Weeks, thank you very much.
Thank you.